Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and, as John Campea once called me, which is still quite undefined, your existential Mr. Rogers. That's right, me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am here with another John Campea Show companion video. Now, before I start, I was asked to show what I looked like back in the day when I first started my career. And so this is a very embarrassing picture. My fashion sense was not refined, but this comes from the year 1989 when I was 22 and I worked for the senior vice president of feature production, Bill Young, at Warner Brothers. Now, if you have a drink, set it down. You'll do a spit take. Here it is. Yeah, that's me. That's right. It's me at 22 working at Warner Brothers. Now that you've laughed your asses off, let's begin. Let's get right into it, shall we? My God, I love doing these. I want to thank all of you for writing in and supporting the channel the way you do. The first one comes from Fanimator. Fanimator sends in a tip and says, you can only watch one of these two for the rest of your life. The Superman episodes on the CW, Supergirl show, or The Rise of Skywalker. Which would you pick? You need power. Okay, since you're asking me if I need power, is that the power of Grayskull? I have the power to make this choice go away? I'd like that if it was true. I never thought I would say this, but probably the Superman episodes on the CW Supergirl show. Because those were more satisfying. Those were more satisfying to me than The Rise of Skywalker. Is that bad to say? Can I say that? Give Peace a Chance sends in a tip and says, hi, gang. Sorry, I hate Tom Holland and the Spider-Man Home trilogy, nor Pete Davidson. Wait, hang on. Hang on. Hi, gang. Sorry, I hate Tom Holland and the Spider-Man Home trilogy, nor Pete Davidson. I hope Chappelle, Chris Rock, The Rock, Conan O'Brien, or Faye Poehler hosts the Oscars instead. Oh, I get it. I see what you're saying. Anyway, can we talk Peacemaker? So freaking hilarious. What do y'all think? Well, we talked about it. I loved Peacemaker. I thought it was great. It was really... I thought, as I said on the show, I thought if you take the James Gunn that made Slither and the James Gunn that made Super, which I always thought the Super James Gunn made Suicide Squad, and the Slither James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy. They come together, they make Peacemaker. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And now I get what you're saying about Oscar hosts. Milo Murphy, one of two, sends in a tip and says, so if Doctor Strange 2 completely gets rid of the multiverse, I don't think it will, then what's going to happen in the next season of Loki and What If? Is there still going to be universe-hopping shenanigans going on? But Strange just makes sure that it can never affect the main MCU timeline. What about when Kang shows up in Ant-Man 3? Quantum Mania. The Kang from Loki is dead, so the one in Ant-Man has to be from a different universe, right? But how can Ant-Man 3 still involve other universes' timelines if Doctor Strange prevents that? Okay, here's the thing. As a comic book fan, it seems to me that all of these multiverse shenanigans are leading up to Secret Wars. And I'm not the first person to come up with this. Everything Always, that channel reported on the fact that the next Avengers movie might be Avengers Secret Wars. Now, the original iteration of Secret Wars in the 80s was where the Spider-Man symbiote came from, and it was the villains are here, the heroes are here, and they're going to fight. But I really do think that the multiverse versions are more about Battle World, and the more modern Secret Wars, I think that's what they're leading up to. So I think Quantum Mania, I think Loki, I think all of it is leading up to Avengers Secret Wars. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I don't think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is the end of the multiverse. I don't think so, Milo. Sorry about that. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Jonathan sends in a tip and says, fun fact, the stunt double for Maguire's Spider-Man was my substitute teacher in high school. My AP Psych teacher at Burbank High also taught Blake Lively, and I served Bobby from X-Men at my Mendocino Farms restaurant late last year. Jonathan, I would say that you're winning at life. That's amazing. I didn't know that. Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Didn't know. Dude the Man sends in a tip and said, Scream 2022 honestly just made me appreciate what we got in Scream 4 a whole lot more. Some of the meta commentary in that film on internet culture and fame was way ahead of its time, and I think it was lost on 2011 audiences. Well, you could actually, I'd have to go back and revisit Scream 4 again, but you could absolutely be right about that. I think that was 11 years ago, so I don't think you're wrong. Now you've made me, Dude the Man, want to go back and watch Scream 4 again. Shay sends in a tip and says, can I seriously kiss James Gunn right now? That's not up to me. But if you're asking, I would say probably not, because that would seem weird and crazy. But who am I to say? I got to tell you, John, with these lackluster CW shows and the poor production value of Titans Doom Patrol, I was losing faith in DC television. Just hand everything to James Gunn and call it a day. But Shay, James Gunn does put everything into his shows. I mean, he's a busy man. He can't take care of all that. Anonymous sends in a tip and says, I'm liking Boba Fett for the most part. Having said that, I am wondering where the badass side of him is. The same one that took down a bunch of stormtroopers in The Mandalorian. You and me both, Anonymous. Where is that guy? We've got 4 episodes left. Come on, whoop some ass. You're Boba Fett. Anonymous, I'm with you 100%. I think you're absolutely right. I don't know where he is. Boris sends in a tip and says, John, in the live chat, Ray said he hadn't seen Shutter Island. If he likes thrillers, please force him. If you're there, Ray, trust me when John backs me up here by saying it's an effing good movie. It was my first Scorsese experience and a damn good one. Well, Boris, it is a pretty great film. It's beautifully made, and it has a surprising twist, I'd like to say. But your first Scorsese film, you got to go back and watch his oeuvre. Go watch Taxi Driver. Actually, go back and watch Boxcar Bertha. His everything. Color of Money, his sequel to The Hustler is terrific. King of Comedy is terrific. Of course, I love Goodfellas, and of course, I love Casino. The first hour of Casino, I love The Aviator. But check it out. You're going to go down the Scorsese rabbit hole, and you're going to love it. Boris says also, I was digging this week's Boba episode. It built up well to hit me when he came back to them dead, but when his posse showed up looking like the effing Power Rangers meets Cyberpunk, I literally muttered to myself, what the fuck? They look stupid. They really kind of did. Robert Rodriguez went Spy Kids when he should have gone like The Wild One. There's a reference for you. Boris also goes on to say, and we would work if there was any work for us. Yeah, sweetie, those scoots and weapons sure imply you're all about that honest, hard-working life. Now we have 2 cheap aliens and the Wiggles with tats guarding him. Who's next? Buzz Lightyear? Boris? You and I park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay. I don't know where that even came from. A little wacky. K-Rock sends in a tip and says, Part 1. What's happening, movie family? Long-time listener since about 2014 in the AMC days. Was wondering if any of you listened to the Marvel Method podcast they had last year. It was put out by Marvel and was hosted by Method Man. Every episode would have a different celebrity guests who would talk about their favorite characters run in Marvel Comics. Then Method Man would bring on the writer of that. Really? How could I have missed this? This sounds awesome. Then Method Man would bring on the writer of that run to talk with them. It was kind of cool seeing the celebrities being the excited fans for a change. Kind of like the video of Tom Holland freaking over the Watch Mojo girl, laugh out loud. But the Marvel method is definitely worth a listen. I didn't even know about this. It's free on Pandora. One last question. Who do y'all think is the better Wu-Tang member turned actor? The RZA or Method Man? Ooh, that's tough. You know what? RZA's the director, so Method Man. I'm going to say Method Man. Don't flame me. Primal Fear sends in a tip. Thank you so much. Hello, gang. I just saw an article from InsideTheMagic.net that was posted on the 12th that Marvel reportedly wants Ben Affleck to be Daredevil in Doctor Strange 2. What are your thoughts if this is true or fake news? Well, I've even said that. I mean, it's not like Jon Favreau couldn't call Ben and say, hey, bro, come play Daredevil again and bring your ex-wife to be Elektra. Would that be cool? You know what? At this point, I don't put anything past anyone. I don't. Anything can happen. After all, Disney, if you ever watched the Mickey Mouse Club, there was surprise day. Anything can happen. Woo, 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 woo. And it usually does. I think Kevin Feige's taking a page from the old Mickey Mouse Club surprise day idea, because who knows what we're going to get. Anonymous sends in a tip and says, if you can't find the article search on Google, Ben Affleck and Doctor Strange 2, lots of internet outlets are running the story. I've seen that story, and I would say, look, I frankly would love that. Mark Steven Johnson's Daredevil, I love the director's cut. I think there's way too much CGI in it. I think it really needed to be shot on the streets of, well, Hell's Kitchen. I would like that. I understand, but it opens with a CG rat, a lot of CG stuff. You know, it's not my favorite, but I actually really have great affection for that film. I really do. I do. Jonathan sends in a tip and says, I miss 2D animation. Have you seen Belle? Go see Belle. It's in the theaters now, the Japanese anime film. I miss 2D animation, and anime is sort of like that last gasp of a time forgotten. My question is, would Pixar ever delve into the world of anime, employing its breathtaking 2D animation and blending it with CGI? I'd love to see that for Pixar. You know what? I don't think so, because part of Pixar's brand is how they animate. I don't think we're going to see that. Jonathan goes on to say, I mean, you look at the success of Ghibli Studios and how their love for anime has grown in the States, or how the love for anime has grown in the States. I think it'd be smart for Pixar to mine that audience and break loose from their typical CGI animation. I don't know, Campea. I'm just thinking aloud. Look, I love anime. And for those of you who are wondering, Space Battleship Yamato 2205 is now my jam, which I haven't seen. I love the remake of Space Battleship Yamato 2199, and of course 2202, and now there's 2205, which I haven't seen. But we're getting things like Belle. I mean, I think anime is still something that's very vibrant. Hopefully, we'll get more of it. But I don't see Pixar delving into that. They might, but I doubt they will. Only because that's not their core brand, and I don't think they'll do that. Scott Brown sends in a tip and says, my biggest problem with Boba Fett, besides the thing like the biker gang that doesn't seem like Star Wars, is every time Disney takes X character and makes them a main character, they want to make them the good guy. You can do good anti-heroes without a full turn. Scott, look, dude, I'm totally with you. But it's Disney. And unfortunately, their core brand is families. And the idea that they're making anti-hero shows, see, I don't understand. I mean, in Star Wars, they blew up planets. They killed billions of people. You know, you had fathers cutting off the hands of their sons. You had all kinds of shenanigans happening. And this idea that, well, let's tell another redemption arc for a character. It's not... I don't dig it. And so, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think that Disney, they're not confident enough, nor is it part of their core brand enough to make it something that I think they need to do. And I think that's part of it. They're scared. Eddie Burton sends in a tip and says, never thought we'd see Tim Allen back as Santa one more time after the box office bomb of Santa Claus 3, but so happy we are. Big throwback for me, as I grew up on Tim Allen as Santa and Buzz. Curious to see how this turns out as a series on Disney+. Well, you know what? It might be the Santa Claus meets Cobra Kai. Can that happen? Be cool if it did, right? I mean, I don't know. I just want to see something new. Do we have to go back and reboot everything? Can't we get something? What are they going to reboot in 20 years? They're going to be like rebooting the reboot of the rebooted reboot. That's not cool. I don't know. Yeah. Here's a good one. Longtime fan viewer. Oh, wait, hang on. Rick Bickmore sends in a tip and says, longtime fan viewer, but I don't write in much. That's okay. Just wanted to share that cinematographer Dave Klein, who I actually knew a little bit back in the day, who's done episodes 1 and 3 as well as 5 and 7, was on his pal Kevin Smith's show on January 7th. And when Kevin asked him if there was anything special, and Rick Bickmore said in a second one, that we should look out for, he said, with a mischievous grin, watch episodes 5, 6, and 7. I suspect things will get plenty exciting after episode 4. Dave and Kevin have been friends a long time. Dave was the cinematographer for Clerks. Dave Klein is a great guy. Big fan of his. Always will like him. And I appreciate all the success he's had. Look, I can't wait. I'm sure there's big fun to be had. I can't wait. I'm still in. Anonymous sends in a tip and says, on Love and Thunder, mythological Valkyries would sense people's deaths and take their souls to Valhalla. So it would make sense if Valkyrie carried someone inside of her instead of the opposite. By the way, isn't Valhalla in Niflheim, where Hela ruled? I think it is, actually. Niflheim. I think it's Niflheim. I think you're right about that. Good point. Hey, look, they know what they're doing. I think we're gonna see some stuff. I can't wait for Love and Thunder. I think it's gonna be a blast. Nate Dogg sends in a tip and says, hey John, I love your show. I just watched Peacemaker and it made me hate Boba Fett a little more. Now hang on. Just because something is good doesn't mean something else is bad. I would say that, right? But I understand where you're coming from. I almost pissed myself laughing a few times. It's not as good as The Boys or Doom Patrol, but it's light years better than Boba Fett. Well, Nate Dogg, I'd say it's different, different. But I feel you. I mean, Boba Fett is, it wants to be all things to all people and all things to all Disney shareholders, which it can't be. But I understand where you're coming from. I feel you. I do. Jonathan sends in a tip and says, Bell animated movie review. By the way, can I just talk about how happy I am people are going to see Bell? I bought the director's, one of his first films, Summer Wars, on Blu-ray, which I love. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But he's done some great films, and I love that people are going to see Bell. I haven't seen it yet. I only saw the IMAX trailer in front of Matrix Resurrections, and I can't wait to see it. So Jonathan says, Bell animated movie review. Holy shit. Bell, is animation and cinema done fucking right. I was mesmerized from scene 1, captivated by the story. This is the best animated movie I've seen in years. This puts Disney Pixar to shame. This is 1 of 3. Is it perfect? No. Some story elements don't quite work. It's a bit too long. Villain is laughably cliche. But the positives far fucking outweigh it all. I'm telling you, John, check this shit out. Jonathan, 3 of 3 says, this movie was like, you think Pixar is king of animation? Ha! Check me out, suckers. If movies are experiential events, then this movie gave me all the goods 10 times over. I was overwhelmed in a good way. Grade A+. I won't forget Belle for years to come. Well, Jonathan, I would say this. That's what we want in movies. And I love that you felt this way about the film. I can't wait to see it myself. And looking forward to it when I can see it. I want to see it in IMAX. Jonathan comes back with another tip. First of all, Jonathan, thank you so much for supporting the show this way. Belle, looking at Pixar and Disney's lineup of animation for the coming year. Take your shot, motherfucker. I dare you. Jonathan, profanity, son. I don't care. But I think you might be right. I mean, people love this film, and it looked incredible from the preview I saw, so I want to see it. Jonathan goes on to say and says, if I had watched Belle last year, this would have been my number one. I am beyond amazed by this movie. I saw it in IMAX, by the way, and holy moly, best IMAX experience ever. Jonathan, you know what? You reminded me. I don't want to miss it. I should look and find out, because I really, after seeing the IMAX trailer, I really want to see this movie in IMAX. I mean, I really do. It looked really great. And so hearing you say that, I'm like, bruh, Jonathan said I should check this out in IMAX. I'm going to do that. I hope I haven't missed out. Travis Goodell sends in a tip and says, Marcus Theaters is starting its own subscription service. What do you think of it? Well, Travis, I have to say, unfortunately, I am unfamiliar with Marcus Theaters. Here's my thing. I'm all about theater subscription services, but I want them to be, what I want is great. I want great picture and sound. That's it. Movie theaters have to give me the best, brightest, sharpest, most beautiful projection and kick-ass surround, Dolby Atmos, whatever. I want to feel that stuff in my bones. And if I don't, I will not get that subscription service. But I'm unfamiliar with Marcus Theaters, but it depends. I mean, if it's a great theater chain, I would say by all means, because it's great. It's great. And if you're going to see movies every weekend, worth it. Wow, this is Wiry Movie Guy. Did I get that wrong? One of two. Hey, John and crew. I'm the crew. The other day, you talked briefly about being proud of your fellow Canadians in Hollywood and call out those good Canadian kids. Well, I do the same when I see someone from my home doing great things in movies, music, and sports. Billy Bob Thornton, Mary Steenburgen, Wes Bentley, Bill Clinton, NBA champs Scottie Pippen and Derek Fisher, Amy Lee from Evanescence, and Dangerous Dan Murrell, and so many others have one thing in common. They all are from my home state of Arkansas. Well, God bless Arkansas. I did not know. I'm a big fan of Mary Steenburgen. If you haven't seen the Nicholas Meyer's science fiction film Time After Time, the time travel science fiction film he made with Mary Steenburgen, David Warner, and Malcolm McDowell, check it out. It's a small film, beautiful time travel movie. And by the way, on a completely unrelated note, Blake Lively's movie, The Age of Adeline. If you haven't seen that, it will melt your heart. And thumbs up to the great state of Arkansas. Sam Fisher sends in a tip and says, a little while ago, Marvel announced that Captain Carter was going to be brought into the comics. Is this the shortest Harley Quinning? That's interesting. I love that. A term I coined meaning a character created for non-comic property media like Harley Quinn being brought into the comics. Timeline that you've seen only a few months. Well, what Sam is talking about is Harley Quinn was a character in one of the animated Batman series that was later incorporated. I think it was it the Batman animated series? I think it was later. I'm not entirely sure. But then they canonized her in the comics. So she was originally a creation of an animated series that made her way into the comics. And Captain Carter, same kind of thing. You might be right about that. I don't know when she's actually going to debut, but her entrance in What If, and then when she's going to be in a comic. You might be right about that, Sam. I like that. What did you call it? You called it Harley Quinning. I like that. Did this character get Harley Quinninged? Sam Fisher sends in a tip again and says, one aspect of the comics that we will never see in the MCU but is really cool is that Hank Pym is actually the Scientist Supreme, the science counterpart to Doctor Strange's Sorcerer Supreme. Well, I love that. Maybe they will. But, they haven't really set that up, so I guess it's not quite that way, but it could be that way. That'd be cool if they did. I want to look into that. Every time I do these companion videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go look into that. Avery Zavala sends in a tip and says, hey John, you hear there's a Ryan Reynolds movie and a Russell Crowe movie coming out, but know nothing about them? Which catches your attention more? Well, Russell Crowe is supposed to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm a huge Russell Crowe fan. Maximus Decimus Meridius. I'm a huge Russell Crowe fan. So I always gravitate to Russell Crowe more because I think he's inhabited different roles, whereas Ryan Reynolds, I mean, I've loved Ryan Reynolds since Van Wilder, but he's becoming a little tiresome in the sense that he seems to play the same character, whether it's in his Mint Mobile ads or a movie. And that kind of bothers me. Avery Zavala says, question for Rob. Hey, that's me. Rob. Question for Rob. Which has had the bigger impact on you? Lord of the Rings or Star Trek? Oh, well, Star Trek. Far and away, if for no other reason than Captain Kirk taught me how to be a good kisser. Just saying. But no, it's Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek intellectually, and I read Lord of the Rings when I was younger, but I mean, Star Trek was something that I was captivated by when I was 5 years old. So Star Trek was always, Star Trek looked toward the future and Lord of the Rings was always steeped in the past. I love Lord of the Rings. But Lord of the Rings is where we were and Star Trek is where we're going. I know Middle Earth isn't real, but I think you understand my point. But yeah, I'm a Star Trek guy. I'm sorry. I hope that's not. Ryrie movie guy. I hope it's Ryrie. I hope I'm not getting it wrong. Saw Scream Thursday night. The movie was okay, but the group behind me were annoying as hell. They kicked my seat 4 times, and there was a part toward the end where they were jumping and screaming. I nearly left and asked for my money back. Am I overreacting? No. Look, here's the thing. We live in a world where... Okay, here's a pet peeve of mine. When you go out into the world... Listen up, people. All of you. When you go out into the world, do not expect the world to conform to the way you want it to be. You should have to conform to the way the world is because you're going out into a world full of your fellow human beings. You should be mindful of them. When you're out into the world, don't think the world revolves around you. If you go into a public arena, like a movie theater, understand there's hundreds of people around you that also paid to enjoy the film. Please, I implore you, please, just be mindful of your fellow human beings. Just, think twice before you scream and yell and kick the back of someone's seat because they paid for the seat the same way you did. And they didn't pay for the experience that you're bringing them. They paid for the experience the movie's bringing them. So don't interrupt with that experience. Just a thought. My Rhino sends in a tip and says, John Cena is a fearless comedic actor, self-effacing, immodest, to give his character so much strangeness. It's just hard to watch with my teenage kids. As they ask a question like, what is that? Pointing at the fleshlight. The show is Deadpool times 10. My Rhino, I don't disagree with you. But the funny thing is, I mean, if your kids ask you what a fleshlight is, maybe, perhaps, be honest. I don't know. It depends how old your kids are, though. Yeesh. I'm thinking maybe they're like young teenagers. I think it's weird. You know, but yes, you're right. It's Deadpool times 10. How do you celebrate International Women's Day? Well, very well, thank you. I enjoy it immensely. But you can't explain that. You know what? Childhood innocence should be preserved. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe you shouldn't tell them. But I know how it could get awkward. Really, really awkward. Hawk McHawk sends in a tip and says, which character from the Suicide Squad do you think should get their own spin-off? In my opinion, a King Shark and Ratcatcher duo would be perfect. You know what? I think that the writing staff, if you actually had a King Shark and a Ratcatcher show, I think the writing staff would be torn in half. Not unlike King Shark's victims. I think it might be too hard to put those characters together, but maybe not. I mean, can you imagine King Shark swimming through the ocean with Ratcatcher's rats on his back? Like, you know, huh. I'm sorry. That's we'll see. By the way, I'm laughing at Garden Variety Vagabond's tip. He says, John, I'm rooting for the Bangles. Okay, Garden Variety Vagabond. You know what? Kudos to you for this joke, because this is a good one that many people aren't going to get. John, I am rooting for the Bengals over the Raiders today. Susanna Hoffs is still so hot, and she was great in the Austin Powers movies. Oh, Bengals. Never mind. I like that joke. Thanks for that, Garden Variety Vagabond. RotoFet sends in a tip and says, John, I just saw The Harder They Fall. Wow. If the goal was to make a bad Western, they exceeded that goal. I hated the music choice. It was like playing hip-hop for Westerns. My favorite Western is 3:10 to Yuma. What's yours? Love you all. Keep up the good work. Now, I would ask you, RotoFet, is it the original 3:10 to Yuma or the remake? But yeah, The Harder They Fall, I'm torn. I understand, like, go back and watch Mario Van Peebles' movie, or his Western Posse, which I liked, but I can understand. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I do understand. Garden Variety Vagabond sends in another tip. John, the Leota Adebayo character in Peacemaker takes on the classic Greek chorus role for us. Yeah, Leota Adebayo. Can I pronounce her name? Representing all of us watching. Her actions and reactions are what ours would be, and she raises our questions for us. I think that's actually a very astute observation. I think you're absolutely right about that. It is true. It is true. Very astute, sir. I assume you're sir. If you're not, I apologize. Garden Variety Vagabond goes on to say, John, I will miss The Expanse. Well, you should say, Rob, I will miss The Expanse. So will I. I really love The Expanse, and I hope they do the last 3 books. The best hard science fiction show on TV. It was based on a book series, and this last season was book 6 of 9, Babylon's Ashes. I have not read these. Can any listeners confirm if the last episode matches book 6's ending? It's not exactly the same because they've had to change things around. It's close. But the books are far more in-depth. There's more characters. There's more stuff going on. But it's similar. But the Laconia storyline, I really hope they do books 7, 8, and 9. Because they were setting up the whole Laconia storyline, which is what the next 3 books are about. The proto-matter, the proto-molecule, and how it plays into domination of the galaxy and all that stuff. So I hope it works out. You're You, I'm Me sends in a tip. From what I've seen in fan art, a lot of people asking for a third Amazing Spider-Man film just want to see Felicity Jones in the Black Cat outfit. Well, I certainly don't blame them, but even if there is a new film, there's no guarantee she'll return. Look, I agree. There is no guarantee she'll return. But who knows? I mean, I think, especially in any new trilogy Tom Holland's in, I think they have to bring in, as much as I love Zendaya and Ned, I mean, I think they need to bring in Black Cat. They need to show us a new trilogy of something. We'll see. Sir Ilvin Bennett says, hey, John, I've heard you say how Wanda Vision was the only Disney Plus show you thought was great. However, I know you love Doom Patrol, Peacemaker, and Arcane. Maybe you just need shows to be adult-rated themed in order to enjoy. Disney Plus is aimed toward kids. Yeah, I mean, but I would say this. I mean, I don't think Hawkeye was aimed toward kids. It was pretty adult. It's just that they can't do certain things, which I understand. I mean, John loves the filthy. He loves the filthy. So maybe that's what is. You make a good point, though. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call. It is a tough call. But you're not wrong. It is aimed toward kids. I just want to see good stories. I do feel that Disney Plus is compromised by the fact it's supposed to be a family franchise place to go, I guess. Give Peace a chance. Says hi. I agree with John that Peacemaker is the best DC show ever on TV, but dare I go a step further and say it's the best superhero comic book based show ever on TV. That is a bold statement. Give Peace a chance. I like this more than The Boys and the MCU shows. I love the Butterfly-esque opening credits. Yes. Well, you know what's interesting? I think Peacemaker has a very interesting tone that's really hard. I mean, The Boys goes far into the subversive element. Peacemaker balances it up. I mean, it's a character. I mean, Peacemaker is both hilarious, kick-ass, yet poignant and funny. And dare I say it, heartwarming in a way. So, I agree with you. I don't know if it's the best ever, but it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Seconds from Disaster sends in a tip and says, hi, John and crew. I have a theory for Gore the God Butcher. There was a lot of speculation Hela's crown in Ragnarok was actually a changed version of Gore's weapon, All Black, the Necro Sword. Well, like this. As we know, the end of Ragnarok took place at least 5 years before where Thor is now. So what if when Surtur kills Hela, Gore comes across her, takes her crown, and it forms itself into the Necro sword, and he's had it all this time to grow extremely powerful. Love the show. What are your thoughts? Bro, that is a great theory. Wow, wouldn't that be cool if that's how Love and Thunder opens? I love that idea. Huh. Do you know something we don't? Have you talked to Everything Always and told them your theory? Have they made a video about it? My God, that is a great video. Seconds from Disaster. You might be onto something. Armando sends in a tip and says, I had my girlfriend watch The Godfather for the first time. She was speechless the whole movie. Told me the baptism scene was one of the best scenes she'd ever seen in a movie. Would you put it at least the top 3 best scenes in cinematic history? I don't know if I would put it in the best scenes of cinematic history, but I would say this. The Godfather is perhaps my favorite movie of all time. Now remember, or maybe people don't know, but when Kubrick wasn't making The Godfather, he said The Godfather might have been his favorite movie. Stanley Kubrick's my favorite director. And if he said The Godfather was perhaps his favorite movie, I mean, that means it's that damn good. But what's interesting to me about The Godfather was Coppola did say when he was making the film, he said, listen, he thought of the movie as the story about a king and his 3 sons. And his daughter as well. But that's how he looked upon it, as like it just happened to take place in the realm of the New York Mafia in the post-World War II era. But I love that idea, and even though it's set in that very specific world, because Coppola approached it with the idea of that it was about succession and royalty and all that, it works. It moves beyond its Mafia Cosa Nostra trappings. So I don't know if the baptism scene's the best in history, but the movie to me is one of the best movies ever made. Armando Martinez sends in a tip and says, I love The Quiet Place 1 and 2. Do you think John Krasinski has more to offer in terms of directing future motion pictures? Bruh. Armando, you answered your own question. If you love Quiet Place 1 and 2, you know the answer to that, sir. Of course he does. Yes. Yes, he does. I can't wait. Rob Mack sends in a tip and says, I'm coming to LA for work next weekend, and I'm planning to see Scream while I'm there since theaters are still closed here, but I'm torn as to whether I should see it at the Chinese Theater or the AMC Dolby. Do you have any suggestions on where I should go? I do. I would suggest, because Scream is not an IMAX film, nor was it shot in IMAX, I would go to a Dolby, an AMC Dolby theater. Book your tickets in advance. Plan on having a great experience. I don't know where in LA you're going to be, but the AMC 16 in Burbank, if you're not around Burbank, I can understand why you wouldn't go there. But their Dolby experience is really good. Really, really good. And it's close to a lot of the major studios, so they keep it in tip-top shape. So I would say go see it there. That's Rob Mack. That's my advice to you. J.R. Wheeler sends in a tip and says, I never saw Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher. No, because Jack Reacher is like huge and 6'7". Now, a new show hits Prime on February 3rd, and the trailer looks awesome. I agree. Reacher finally looks like his novels. Have you seen it, John? What do you think? Well, I've actually read a few of the Lee Child Jack Reacher novels, and they're great. Totally love them. And I agree with you. Tom Cruise is like this little guy. I do like the Jack Reacher movies, especially the first one that Chris McQuarrie wrote and directed. The second was okay, too. But Tom Cruise is just not the Jack Reacher in the books. But that trailer for Reacher looks rad. I'm totally stoked. I can't wait. Bring it on. JR, you are correct, sir. Nico sends in a tip and says, dude, what the F? I just saw you two on Kitchen Nightmares. Did you ever talk about that? How'd it come to be? Is that true? I haven't seen Kitchen Nightmares. Is that true? I'm going to call John. I want to find out if this is true. Because I want to make sure. Because you know what? I think it's kind of funny if I call John during these recordings and to ask him. Because, I don't know. I don't know what this means. This is probably some joke I don't know. So I'm calling John right now as I record this video because I don't know what it means. Maybe it's something that I don't understand. So if he picks up, John, are you going to pick up the phone? If you don't, I can't. Nico, I'm trying. I'm trying, Nico. I'm trying real hard. That's my... Why isn't he answering the phone? He's probably watching the game.
3, 2, 3.
Damn it. Okay, Nico, I tried. Maybe he'll call me back. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Was he on? He could be on Kitchen Nightmares. I don't know. I'm missing that. I just want you to know I did reach out. I did try. Orange Hand sends in a tip and says, a bunch of crypto bros spent I know this. A bunch of crypto bros spent $3 million on an NFT of an art book of Jodorowsky's Dune. I think they actually bought the actual book. And they intend to make the book public, produce an animated series for streaming, and support derivative projects. I don't think these crypto folk understand how copyright works. No, Orange Hand, you can't make a Dune movie without buying the rights to Dune the book. I don't think they get that. But, young people and their dreams, why dash them? Yeah, they're going to have a problem. Jodorowsky's Dune is a derivative work. And trust me, for those of you who know my history, I worked on the Axanar project for a while. It got sued. I didn't get sued, but it got sued. You can't just do that. I just wish they'd give that to Toshin, and Toshin Books can make a version of it. Ian Ben Kenobi sends in a tip and says, hello. Have you ever seen Virtuosity? Denzel Russell Crowe. I think it's weird and amazing. I love your show. I have seen that. That's an early virtual reality movie that predates The Matrix. And yes, Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. And I think, you know what? I like Virtuosity. I haven't seen it in a while, but I liked it. I thought it was cool when it came out. It's cool. Great performances for that kind of a movie. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like it. That's my Peter Jackson. It's good. It's good. Actually, that's That's Elijah Wood's impression of Peter Jackson. It's good. It's good. Is it you wrote Ian? So I'm going to say Ian. Not I am. So I'm going to say Ian Ben Kenobi goes on to say, "What do you think of the chances of Nick Cage showing up as Superman in Flashpoint? Over or under 1%? I'd say 1%. No, it's 0%. Although if he shows up, I'll be the first person to go, John Schnapp, look at that. I will say that. Murray Reich, our friend Murray Reich. How are you, Murray? I saw the 355, and it was just okay. It had some decent action. But I think besides for the bad dialogue, the main problem was the movie was fucking shaky cam action scenes. You couldn't fucking see the damn movie. I should have brought Tylenol with me, Skip. Look, Murray, I can't stand shaky cam. Shaky cam is a cop-out. It means your action scenes aren't choreographed well enough that you are trying to disguise that fact with shaky cam. If you're a great action filmmaker, shaky cam, I mean, it's one thing. I think all of shaky cam came out of Saving Private Ryan. And why? Oh, hey, wait. John Campea is calling me back. Okay, I'm going to put him on. John,
Hey.
I'm calling you because of a comment in this live chat from Nico. Nico sent in a tip and said, dude, what the F? I just saw you two on Kitchen Nightmares. Did you ever talk about that? How did it come to be? What does this mean? I have no idea.
Okay, so that's actually from like years ago. So I had a friend of mine who knows Gordon Ramsay, and they were doing a Kitchen Nightmares at a restaurant in Glendale, California, which is right close to where we lived. And we got invited to be at the reopening night part of Kitchen Nightmares.
Wait, so this is a real thing?
Oh yeah. So Ann and I were on it. I mean, for I think like a couple of shots. I think we said one or two things on it or whatever. But yeah, but that was like years ago. But yeah, it was a really, really fun night.
How did I not know you were on Kitchen Nightmares?
I like every 3 or 4 months when that episode replays, I get a whole bunch of tweets from people saying with the picture of the screenshot saying, "When are we on Kitchen Nightmares?" And this has been going like every 3 or 4 months I get that.
Wow. Well, you learn something new every day. Well, see, now this tip just became even more epic. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Nico, for asking.
And I'm almost done with this video, and I will be uploading it to you shortly.
All right. Thanks for calling.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. See, if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to call John when I have these problems. Jerry Jones says, fuck it. I'm just going to do it myself. I think you should. You know. Elmo sends in a tip and says, okay, kids, we're going to learn a new letter from the alphabet today. The letter is L. What does the letter stand for? The Cowboys lost, baby. Hey, Dak, learn the rules. You know, as John said, the Cowboys lost the first quarter or the first half of that game. They didn't just lose in the end. But you know what? Every day that the Cowboys lose, an angel gets their wings. As a Seahawks fan, I know people are like, well, Rob, the Seahawks. I mean, John rubbed it in. I get it. Russell Wilson was injured. I get it. I understand. Next year. Just saying. Sends in a tip and says, I kind of want to start that show Yellowstone, but if I wanted to watch a bunch of Cowboys get knocked out, I just watch the playoffs. God bless you, just saying. I know, the Cowboys are America's team, and they've got their cheerleaders. Cyber J says, hi, John, and welcome back, Aaron. Been wondering what the status is of the Jurassic World Dominion trailer. We're less than 5 months away, and it's quite rare for Universal to wait this long for a first trailer. Are there delays that you know of? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. No, Cyber J, you know, they released that first 5 minutes of the movie, and I don't think there's any delays to speak of. I'm sure it's going well. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the No Way Home of Jurassic Park movies. I'm kind of excited, to be honest. Matt Sim sends in a tip and says, hi, John and crew. The box office numbers of Titanic have always astounded me. I was not born at the time of its release. Oh, my God. You know, when people say that kind of stuff, I kind of want to pick up like a screwdriver and jam it into my light socket, you know, one of my eyeballs, and take my own life. But I won't. Don't worry. I'm not suicidal. But I was not born at the time of Titanic's release, and I suppose looking at it through the current lens where CB sci-fi comic book and sci-fi movies are the main box office draws, might be why it surprises me. Just wondering if you could give your insight, having seen the build-up to the movie's release. Another thing that surprised me was Empire earning less than A New Hope. Was there less hype for the second movie at the time, or was it the fact that conceptual visual effects were now not something ever seen before? Also, Rob, I checked out the despecialized Death Star battle on YouTube, and it's great. Isn't it? Well done, sir. Thanks. Stay safe, guys, and remember that Paddington 2 is the greatest of all time. Good. Okay, there's a lot to unpack, Matt. First of all, when Titanic was being made, it was a huge... Everyone thought it was James Cameron's folly. They built a 1/3 scale version of the Titanic. They shot it down in Rosarito, which is in Mexico, on the water, and the effects that were needed, it went wildly over budget. And it was both a Paramount Fox co-production. Everyone in Hollywood thought it would be a huge bomb. And the studio was like, I hope this works. Everyone was terrified of it. And they didn't think it would work. And people were scared to death. But when it came out, the effects were amazing for the time. And, you know, it's a classical, it is, I would call it a meat and potatoes love story, but it was enchanting. And it came out of nowhere and it blew everybody away. And Celine Dion's song, My Heart Will Go On, all of it was this confluence. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet together, you know, it was, everything about it was, it just blew everybody away because it was grand classical Hollywood storytelling, meat and potatoes Hollywood storytelling. It wasn't very deep, except the water where the Titanic sank was, but it was a big deal, and it everyone thought it was going to fail, and yet it blew everybody away. Now, your second question: back when Empire Strikes Back came out, sequels were not a big thing. And Godfather 2 was like the only good sequel. I was a Rocky 2 fan, and I'm partial to Jaws 2. It's not as good as Jaws, but it's pretty good. But Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars was such a phenomenon. And I think, you know, the only reason that Empire, I think, did not outgrow Star Wars is that Star Wars, when it came out, it hit the world like a cultural explosion of awesomeness we'd never seen before. So there were a lot of people that didn't even love movies or didn't even love science fiction that went. Empire Strikes Back, I think a lot of people thought, I've seen Star Wars. So it was a different kind of a world, but I think at the time the reason Empire did not outgrow Star Wars is that Star Wars, the audiences of the day, so many people went and saw Star Wars that wouldn't necessarily be predisposed to seeing science fiction films, that Empire it still did really well. That's what I'm trying to say. At the time, it just didn't have the cultural blowback that Star Wars had, where everybody had to see Star Wars. Not everybody had to see Empire. So I think that's what it was all about. And I'm glad you checked out the despecialized version of Star Wars that was done, that's on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, Hermie has been doing the despecialized versions of Star Wars where he's used various sources to recreate the original and my preferred version of Star Wars, because it was the version I saw many, many times. It was the only version that existed for 20 years up until the special editions, which I do not like very much at all. And so they keep upgrading the despecialized version, and you can watch, if you put despecialized 4K version of Star Wars, like the battle, it's beautiful, and it looks the way Star Wars was supposed to look. Cutter Hale says, I've seen Scream 5 twice so far. I love the movie, but my only problem, I think, is They didn't need the toxic fandom stuff, but that's just me. I thought the acting was great. It's a very fun movie. Well, Cutter, I haven't seen it yet, but I think the toxic fandom stuff was part of the whole meta nature of the movie. I like that they did that. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, but I understand why you didn't like it. Don't take it personally. Just a movie. Ryan Lohner says, you can find the Vespa gang as silly as you like, but I have to laugh at all these people saying it's an insult to George Lucas. You really want to tell me Mr. American Graffiti, Mr. Pod Race wouldn't approve of this? Well, here's the thing. You know, I think it was a little too on the nose. It was too much from Earth. And I think that, like, you know, Luke's land speeder was a jalopy. You know, it's a car you buy in a junkyard and you fix it up. So it was the Tatooine equivalent of what it was like to have a car. Or you look at the speeder bikes introduced in Return of the Jedi and the swoop bikes and all the other things. Those are the equivalent of motorcycles. The Vespa gang looked like they were one step away from the mods and the rockers from the movie Quadrophenia. It was too earthbound, I think. And as a matter of fact, to be honest, I will say that even the speeders in Attack of the Clones, which I think they most closely resemble, are even a little too earthbound. But I understand where you're coming from, and I think you make a very good point. I just think that, you know, we want to take what is the equivalent of Vespas. The fact that we can look at them and go, well, they actually look like Vespa scooters from Quadrophenia. And if you haven't seen Quadrophenia, it's did Frank Rodham direct that? It's a movie about the mods, the war between the mods and the rockers in Britain. It's actually really good. A lot of music from The Who. Check it out. It's really, really good. But Ryan, I understand what you're saying. Alan sends in a tip and says, hi, John. I wrote in before about overpowered characters, and I had another question for you. Do you think, would you like to see Batman ever don the Hellbat suit or the final suit? I think it could work, and you would love to see it. Good point. Those suits are, here's the thing. The Hellbat suit and the final suit, I don't like it. I mean, the thing about Batman is he's just a man. And while, like, the armored suit in Batman v Superman, you know, that gives him, and that comes, I understand, it comes right out of The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller, mid-'80s, I get all that. But I would prefer that Batman doesn't have to rely on those things because he's augmenting himself too much. But would I like to see it? Hell yeah, because it would be badass. And I would love to see that. Petey sends in a tip and said, could the lackluster storytelling of Book of Boba Fett and Hawkeye be initial signs of Bob Chapek's... But Petey, you deserve better. Could the lackluster storytelling of Book of Boba Fett and Hawkeye be initial signs of Bob Chapek's regime influence on Disney creative properties? I don't think so. I don't think Bob Chapek interferes with any of those things. I think they're just different kinds of stories. I mean, Hawkeye's a much smaller story. Book of Boba Fett, I don't quite know where it's all going. I would say let's wait and see where it winds up. But yeah, I wouldn't blame that. I'll blame him for a lot of other things, but not that. Tiquilero? Is it Tiquilero? Is that it? Hey, John, regarding Eternals, Arishem should have zero hesitation judging Earth worthy. Earth played a key part in saving half the life in the universe. More life equals more Eternals. Get created. Should be a non-issue. I agree, but they also might have interfered. The idea of Earthlings stopping the emergence, simply the idea that Earthlings have the ability to sway the Eternals' viewpoint, stopping the emergence of an Eternal, might make Arishem weigh like, okay, half the life of the universe brought back, interfered, the love of the Eternals of humans, I don't know. But it's a good point. I want to see where that goes, because I don't know where it's going to go, but I want to see where it goes. Russell Amador sends in a tip and says, hey, John, on the topic of Scream, I really enjoyed the latest installment. Could have done with less of the meta. I wanted to know your thoughts on them canceling the premiere for the safety of actors in it, but pushing for people to still go see it. Look, it's a very valid argument. I mean, with everything running rampant, is it good to go into big public spaces? I would say, look, I'm boosted, and I have yet to get COVID. I've been wearing a mask for the last 2 years. Not 2.5. It'll be 2 years in March. I've been very careful, hand sanitizer. I've been lucky to escape COVID, but it's a tough call. It's tough, man. I don't know. But less than meta, from what I understand, it goes very meta. I can understand how you didn't dig it. But I think the whole Scream franchise has always been kind of meta, leaning into it. That's kind of what the first one was, so you can't not get away from that. Or you can, I don't know. Not sure. Alan says, "Hi, John. That Peacemaker opening credits is awesome. What do you like better, Peacemaker opening credits or Rogers the Musical?" Oh, by far, Peacemaker opening credits. I wanted Rogers the Musical, that last scene, to be even more witty. If you're going to do it, I just wish it was better. It's not that it was bad. I think the Rogers the Musical needed more Peacemaker in it. Kind of. So, Russell Amador says, again, comes back and says, "Hey, John, another topic I wanted to bring up was Denzel gearing up to do Equalizer 3 again with Antoine Fuqua in talks to return to direct. I really like 1 and 2, one more than 2. What are your thoughts on another installment?" Good point. I have to tell you, I love Denzel Washington, and perhaps maybe against my better judgment, I thought the Equalizer movies were dope. I agree with you. The first one, the Russian Mafia one with Chloe Grace Moretz, I really like that movie. I mean, it reminded me of an 80s revenge film, like something like The Exterminator. I thought it was great. And the second one wasn't as great, but it was good. If they come back and do a third one, I think everything should finish off its own trilogy. So, Russell, I want that. Elizabeth Gerardo sends in a tip and says, "Would Netflix benefit from a day-and-date release instead of full season releases? I think they lose a ton of money when a big TV show is binged in a day." Elizabeth, this is the ongoing debate of our modern era. I don't know the answer. I used to think, I love binging shows. But on the other hand, you know what? I binge shows and I'm like, what happened? I forget what happened. I mean, John said something today about how Witcher Season 2, no one's talking about it. It came and went in like a day. And unless you're following the writer who gets into little social media trouble, I don't know, man. I'm like, I like the once a week thing. I liked the Expanse. I mean, even though it's gone now, I liked waiting for it every week. I'm like, oh, you forget sometimes it's on, and then you're like, oh, I get an extra added bit of joy to my week. So, yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. Tim Platt says, "Hey, John, what were some of your biggest takeaways from the Super Wild Card weekend? Side note, COVID sucks, but watching Dallas crash and burn in the playoffs again sure makes the recovery process a little easier." Tim, that's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear. I'll tell you what my biggest takeaways from the Super Wild Card weekend was. Patriots are not in the Super Bowl. And maybe Tom Brady is. Who knows? Anytime the Patriots get beat, again, the Cowboys, the Patriots, they get beat, an angel gets their wings. I don't follow sports the way John follows sports, so I can't tell you. I'm more of a casual observer unless the Seahawks are playing, but that's what I took away. Blake sends in a tip and says, "John, I know you have Showtime. Are you watching Yellow Jackets? It is so good. It just finished its first season, and I cannot wait for season 2. People keep telling me about this show. I have not seen it, but I've heard it's great, and I definitely would watch it. It sounds really good, and people love it, so I got to look into it. So I just haven't watched it. It's the show about the soccer team, like they went down in a plane crash when they were kids or something. That's all I know about it. And then it's about what happens to them later in life or something. I don't know. So when I start watching, I'm like, oh yeah. But I've heard it's good. And I don't know much more about it, so I can't speak to it. Now I feel guilty that I have nothing more to say. But I apologize. Blake, thank you for supporting the channel. Justin sends in a tip and says, I've edited all of the... Wait a minute. Justin says, I have edited all of the MCU movies together into one long movie, each scene in exact chronological order. After seeing No Way Home, do you think I should add the Raimi and Webb universe movies? Yes. Yes, I do. And when you're done, send me the link. My DMs are open. Slide into my DMs. Send me that Vimeo link, son, because I want to watch that shit. Did you do it in 4K or a Blu-ray resolution, HD resolution? I would love to watch that. Love to watch it. Please, please, Justin, send it to me. Elizabeth Gerarder comes back and says, what time do you think the trailer for Moon Knight will release? I don't watch these things you call sports. Elizabeth, I don't know because I'm recording this. Right now it is 7:32 p.m. And I do not know. I'm about to finish this video. I don't know anything about it. I don't know when it's going to release, but I'm sure it's going to be on. It'll be on YouTube soon. I can't wait. Cutter Hale says, any chance of a Scream 5 spoiler discussion? There's a lot of stuff that I was not expecting to happen, and I would love your spoiler thoughts on it. Also, this is the first Scream movie that has made me cry. And I'm talking hard-balling, bring on the filthy. Wow, I see what you did there. I'm talking hard-balling, bring on the filthy. Cutter Hale, I see what you did there. You know, I haven't seen Scream 5, but it made you cry. And you wanted to hardball and bring on the filthy. I get it. I always think when I bring on the filthy, I'm hardballing and softballing and any kind of balling. I like to change it up. You know, it's all about the rhythm. But I want to thank you for that. Did you really cry in it? Like, did it? Well, I guess I have to see it. Stubble McShave says, oh, Stubble, at least this isn't about the Wheel of Time. Stubble says, want to feel old? It's been a quarter of a century. Oh my God. Since the theatrical release of Star Wars, the special edition, they were released January through March 1997. That's insane. You know what's crazy about that? It was less time between the original Star Wars and the special edition than it is from the special edition to now. I'm old and I'm going to die soon. Anonymous says, hi, John and Rob. Love the show. Really got me through some tough times over the last few years. Over the weekend, I went to a double bill. The film Boiling Point and Scream. Boiling Point blew me away as it's set in a restaurant. It was all filmed in one shot. I keep hearing about this movie. I need to see it. Now, for those of you who want to know, I have an idea to make the old 80s horror film Blood Beach. I want to remake it as a one-shot film. Come on, Blumhouse. Give me a call. But I keep hearing about Boiling Point. Sounds like a great double bill to me, Anonymous. I'm glad we got you through difficult times, but I would love to see Boiling Point, and you saw it in a theater. I gotta find this. I gotta see this movie. And it's set in a restaurant. I'm in. Count me in. I just need to go. MD says, I think Jamie Foxx would also be a good option for Oscars host. Jamie Foxx would be a great Oscars host. That guy is an MC par excellence. That's a great idea. He has Oscars pedigree. He's won one. He's also a singer-performer, absolutely, and has a background in stand-up comedy. Yep. Plus, he has a great energetic presence, and while not a necessity, brings some diversity too. MD, that's metal. That is metal. Hang on. Should I say that? Wait, let me read. Oh, I can't get it. It's over here. I will hold up my metal symbol. Yeah, man. Totally. I agree. 100%. I'm down. I think it's a great idea. Well done. Spider-Man fan sends in a tip and says, "Hi, John. Congrats on Chris and Aaron coming back. No Way Home not only closes out a trilogy, in my opinion, it closed out 3 franchises, Raimi, Webbs, and now John Watts. This movie was the perfect closure to all 3. For me, that's why I love it more than Endgame. 10 out of 10, bring on the filthy." You know what? That's a really good point. Spider-Man No Way Home did a lot. It had a lot of heavy lifting to do, and it didn't. They even set themselves up for that. You're right. It's amazing. It's amazing that they did all of that in one film. You are absolutely correct. I totally agree with you. Wow, here we go. It's Moon Knight Day, 1 of 10. Wow. Okay, John said that not all of these came through. We didn't get all 10 of them. So I'm going to just read what I got. It's Moon Knight Day sends in a tip and says, "Hello and happy Monday to John, Ray, and Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett." Namaste for using my entire name. My question regards streaming series, more specifically Marvel and DC streaming series. So a little over a year ago, Wanda Vision debuted on Disney Plus and would take the world by storm in its 2.5-month run. Now, I recall about a couple of days to a week before the show was first released, you'd revealed to us that you had been sent a screener to watch the first 3 episodes, whereas us regular Disney Plus subscribers only got to view the first 2 episodes. I remember you saying that the first 3 episodes felt very much like the first act of sorts for the show, and that stuck with me. So here's where the significance of my question comes into play. That's all we got from you. It's Moon Knight Day, that's it? That's a cliffhanger question, because we didn't get any more. Okay. Let me try and extrapolate on if you sent all 10 out of 10 in, I'm very sorry that I don't have them. But John did warn me this was going to come up. So I'm going to try and answer this to the best of my ability. What I think you're asking about is, because you say it's Moon Knight Day, maybe I would assume that you're asking, do you think by seeing the first act, very astute, that you were able to make a fair assessment of the series as a whole as a reviewer by being given only those 3 episodes? Which, by the way, if that's even similar to what you're asking, I think it's a very astute question. And I would say this. I would say no. No, because you're only given 33% of a show. And I think, especially with Wanda Vision, they were showing you the gimmick of the sitcoms and all that. It didn't really tell you, because that 4th episode I thought it was mind-blowing, when you finally figure out, like, oh my God, what's going on? So, as a reviewer, I don't think, and I didn't get those first 3 episodes, but I watched WandaVision, and I think that I don't think the first 3 episodes were necessarily representative of the entire show. There was a lot of awe and wonder to be had in WandaVision, and it went places I didn't expect to go. And while we didn't get Mephisto, I did think it was very legitimate and very interesting, and I really liked it. But I don't think the first 3 episodes could have prepared me for what the latter 6 episodes gave us. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I want to thank you for supporting the channel, obviously. I hope I did an okay job, because all I've got now is John Martin's 2-parter, which will take us out. John Martin says, on streamers increasing prices, I canceled Hulu because I hardly watch for $12 a month. Around Christmas, I got an offer for 12 months for $1 per month with commercials. I jumped on it, but a friend said he would never pay for commercials even if it's $1 a month. I don't mind commercials for the right price. I bet Netflix does eventually, and I think these crazy prices are on purpose to condition people to accept commercials for a cheaper price when they wouldn't right now. Ooh, John. That's not a bad, look, they can make a lot more money if they charge for commercials. I mean, I get that. I understand that. I will never watch Netflix. I hate commercials in shows, and there's too many of them drives me crazy. And I hate it because you get the same damn commercials over and over again. Even if you know what I would say? I would say, here's the thing. I would say this. If I'm paying for commercials or if I'm getting commercials, in 1 hour of time, I want to see all different commercials. I don't want to see the same commercial 3 times. I don't think that serves anyone well. Give me all different commercials. Because I like commercials in a way because I look at them as mini films. But if I have to watch the same damn commercial every time, it drives me absolutely insane. And I think it's lame. I think that it's not good for advertisers. I think you end up hating the product more than you love it. But I think, I mean, maybe I hate commercials. I was hoping that the future, like YouTube, even YouTube shows have too many commercials in them. But and you can't skip on a lot of these shows. On Hulu shows, you can't skip the commercials. And it's really frustrating. I mean, I get why they do that, but I would prefer no commercials. But I think you might be right. I mean, they may be softening us up to be like, don't you want to have, well, for $1 you can have the same thing, it's just with commercials. I mean, I think there's probably some truth to what you're saying. I do. I hate commercials, though. So one of the reasons I love streaming is there are no commercials. And I want to pay for no commercials. It's worth it to me. That's why I sit on YouTube all the time, to be able to not have to watch commercials. And on that note, to all of you, everyone who has watched this John Campea companion video, I want to say, or John Campea Show companion video, I want to say thank you all for supporting the John Campea channel through your generous super chats and tips. We really appreciate it. It keeps the channel going, and it lets us, for me, I find out what you guys are thinking. And remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. And with that, I will tell you, you can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, or I think maybe RMB or RM Burnett. You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or you can also find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, and you can send me letters at theburnettwork.net, and I'll read them on the air. This is, once again, Robert Meyer Burnett for the John Campea Show with another companion video, and I want to thank, most of all, you viewers, you constant viewers, you lovers of this channel. Thank you for watching, and thanks for sticking with us at the John Campea Show, because damn, it's fun. And thank you for allowing me to answer these questions, because I think I have more fun than I probably should. See you soon.